Welcome to today's Explainer. 欢迎. If you are a CELPIP candidate aiming for that elusive CLB9 or higher, you are in exactly the right place. We are jumping right into this because it's not just your average vocabulary list. It's an intensive, bilingual masterclass. Today, we're going to completely break down 15 essential Canadian workplace terms that are literally critical for those top scores. We're keeping it fast, highly instructional, and laser-focused on the exact words, collocations, and exam strategies you need. By mastering these specific terms, you're giving yourself the exact tools to lock in that CLB9+. So, let's get started. To make sure you're totally exam ready, here is our roadmap for today's session. First, daily work and roles. Second, evaluation, promotion, and rewards. And finally, goals, potential, and challenges. Module 1, daily work and roles. Our very first word is commute. Commute. In Chinese, that's 通行. Now, what's really fascinating about this word is the cultural context. Here in Canada, especially if you're in the Greater Toronto Area or Greater Vancouver, dealing with traffic is basically a daily sport. Add in a massive winter snowstorm, and it becomes a real struggle. Because of this, commute is an absolute 5-star frequency word for the CELPIP. If you're tackling writing tasks too, maybe choosing between 2 different office locations, you absolutely want to drop in collocations like long commute and commute to work. You could write something like, I prefer the downtown location because it would significantly reduce my daily commute. Next up, schedule. Schedule. The translation is nichipyo or ampe. So here's the crucial thing to remember. Canadians deeply value punctuality. You really can't just drop in unannounced. You always need to schedule a time, whether you're setting up a work meeting, seeing a doctor, or just grabbing coffee with a friend. Having collocations like busy schedule and behind schedule in your back pocket is a massive lifesaver for speaking task 6 when you inevitably have to rearrange an appointment. You can just smoothly say, due to an unexpected meeting, I need to adjust my schedule. Moving up the chain, we have supervisor. Supervisor. In Chinese, 主管 or 上司. Now, here's a massive Canadian workplace etiquette tip for you. Instead of calling someone your boss, using supervisor or manager is considered so much more formal and polite. Look at the collocation immediate supervisor. This is an absolute must-know for writing task 1. If you're writing a leave of absence email, starting it off with Dear Supervisor instantly proves you understand professional Canadian workplace tone. And sitting right at the very top, we have executive. Executive, meaning 高管 or 执行的. This term brilliantly captures the top tier of the corporate hierarchy. It is a mid to high difficulty word, and you are frequently going to spot it in those advanced reading passages that talk about company restructurings or financial business news. Really keep your eyes peeled for phrases like executive meeting or executive officer when you're grinding through those tougher reading modules. Wrapping up our daily roles module is professional. Professional, 专业的 or 专业人士. In Canada, professionalism is pretty much the absolute peak standard for any workplace. Notice the key collocations here, professional manner and professional development. But wait, here is a brilliant exam hack for you. Use its opposite, unprofessional, for your writing task 1 complaint letters. Writing something punchy like, I was extremely disappointed by the unprofessional behavior of your staff will instantly boost your score. Module 2, evaluation, promotion, and rewards. All right, let's talk money. Earnings. Earnings, that's 收入. This is quite a formal term, and it's heavily associated with the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, especially when tax season rolls around. By actively utilizing collocations like annual earnings and increase earnings in your CELPIP writing task 2 essays, especially those debating work-life balance or salary versus free time, your writing instantly sounds way more authoritative. Of course, if your earnings are going up, it's probably because you scored one of these. Promotion. Promotion, 升升 or 升职. What's really interesting about this word is how perfectly it maps onto speaking task 1, which is all about giving advice or congratulations. Congratulating a coworker on a promotion is a classic, everyday Canadian workplace scenario. Lock in these exact collocations, get a promotion, and deserve a promotion. You want to sound incredibly natural saying, congratulations on your recent promotion, you absolutely deserve it. But hey, before you get that promotion, you usually have to pass your evaluation. Evaluation, which is评估or 评价. Canadian corporate culture heavily relies on the annual performance evaluation. This formal review is literally what dictates your bonuses and your upward mobility. In the CELPIP reading section, particularly when you're skimming workplace announcements or HR emails, quickly spotting terms like performance evaluation or upcoming evaluation is going to help you instantly grasp the main idea of that text. Moving right along to candidate. Candidate, meaning 候选人 or 求职者. This word actually has a fantastic dual purpose in Canada. On one hand, it refers to job applicants. On the other hand, it is plastered all over the news during Canadian federal or provincial elections when referring to politicians. For your exam, especially in Speaking Task 5, where you have to compare options and persuade, you will constantly need to weigh two people to decide who is the ideal candidate or the successful candidate. And what exactly makes a successful candidate? Well, they are qualified. Qualified. 비케이지르가다 or shunrinda. The crucial point here is possessing the exact skills needed for the role. You'll want to use collocations like highly qualified or qualified for the job. And here's a very real cultural note for you. A massive hurdle in the Canadian job market for newcomers is actually being overqualified for entry-level positions. It's a fantastic, highly realistic detail to weave into any speaking response you have about job hunting. Module 3, Goals, Potential, and Challenges. First up in looking at the big picture, accomplishment. Accomplishment. 成就. If you've ever had a Canadian job interview, you know the classic question, what is your greatest accomplishment? Check out these collocations, sense of accomplishment and great accomplishment. Guys, this is your absolute golden ticket for Speaking Task 8 when you are asked to describe personal experiences. Saying something like, graduating while working full-time was a major accomplishment for me. Sounds so incredibly natural and native. To achieve those big things, you've got to have ambition. Ambition. 抱负 or 雄心. Listen, North American workplace culture actively encourages you to express your career ambitions. It's viewed as a highly positive, sought-after trait. If you want to describe someone who has massive dreams and career goals, make sure to use precise collocations like achieve one's ambition, or simply describe them as being full of ambition. Right alongside ambition comes being determined. Determined. 定的 or 下定决心的. This word brilliantly paints a picture of someone who is deeply driven. If you want to praise a colleague's strong Canadian work ethic on the exam, this is the most authentic way to do it. You don't just say they work hard. No, you say they are determined to finish the job. Which brings us nicely to potential. Potential, 潜力 or 潜在的. Canadian educational systems and corporate systems, for that matter, heavily prioritize developing long-term potential over just looking at quick, short-term results. Notice these collocations. Reach one's full potential and potential customer. In writing task 2, when you're discussing government investments or public policies, writing a sentence like, investing in public transit has the potential to boost the local economy is basically a guaranteed high score structure. Finally, we all know that on the road to success, you are going to face an obstacle. Obstacle, 障碍 or 阻碍. Here is your ultimate secret weapon strategy for this word. Anytime you want to say problem or difficulty, replace it with obstacle. It is a foolproof way to bump up your lexical resource score. Look at the collocations. Overcome an obstacle and face an obstacle. For Speaking Task 8, if you're describing getting stuck in a sudden snowstorm during a road trip, don't just call it a problem. Call it a major obstacle. It elevates your vocabulary instantly. And wow, that brings us to the end of our masterclass explainer. So I have to leave you with one final thought. Are you ready to overcome your obstacles and reach your full CELPIP potential? 你准备好克服障碍，发挥你的全部思培潜力了吗? By internalizing these 15 words, understanding their exact Canadian context, and deploying these precise collocations, you are no longer just an average candidate, you are the ideal candidate for a CLB 9+. Keep practicing, use these words with total confidence, and we will see you next time.